All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Demetrius Coleman. I am the Assistant Director of Res Life for the East Community. I have here for you some updates. Just wanted to spend some time saying hello, introducing myself. I know a lot of you, but I don't know all of you. I hope at some point to get to know all of you. Hopefully, through this presentation, you'll be able to get to know me a little bit better about what I do in my role, as well as some things we have going on for the East Community. I prepared a presentation for you. Won't take too much of your time, and hopefully it answers a lot of the questions that you have. But if it does not, my door is always open. So feel free after the presentation to come say hi or just get your questions answered, whatever you want to do. So I'll go ahead and share my screen so that you can see the PowerPoint, and I will begin. All right. So with any presentation that I do, I always think it's a good idea to kind of give an overview of what we will be talking about today. So again, I said I'll take some time for you to kind of get to know me as a person. I'll answer some questions for you. And then we're going to go through some area updates that we have for East, do some introductions of some area staff that you might not always see. We'll talk through some access things, some desk hour things, as well as classroom reservations. We will look at social programming and engagement, and then we will also talk through the PRV process and then wrap up with a few expectations for the year. First things first, who is this guy? I am Demetrius Coleman, again, Assistant Director of Res Life for East Community. I use the pronouns he, him, and his. I am not a native Michigander. I grew up in East St. Louis, Illinois, born and raised there, went to school there, ended up finishing both of my college degrees there. So thought I'd be an Illinois person for life. Moved to Michigan about 3.5 years ago. Worked at the University of Michigan as a hall director for 3 years before coming here, and I have been here since February. So that's a little bit about my story before coming to Michigan. I always like to do when I get to know somebody or get to meet somebody, a new group of students, a new group of people. I like to do hot seat. It's one of my favorite things. A while ago, before I came to the University of Michigan, I was at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, which is my alma mater. I got to work as an admission counselor there, and I got to do a lot with the orientation program there, and worked and supervised the orientation leaders. So hot seat was something that was big then, that people like to do. It was one of my favorite things to do way back when I was an orientation leader. So it's something I'm going to do here now. Now, it looks a little bit different because you all aren't here with me, right? So what I did, I just kind of found some random questions online and I picked out some that I like to answer. And then if these don't get you what you want to know, feel free again, as I said, to stop in and say hi. I'm always willing to connect. I'm down for lunches, coffee, socially distanced, of course, if that is something that you want to do. So I'll pick out a few questions and answer them for you all. And then again, if there's something else that you want to know, feel free to stop by. So I already told you where I'm from, where I grew up, where I went to college. My degrees were in English, and then I dual minored in speech communications and creative writing. My master's degree is in college student personnel administration, which is just a fancy way of saying student affairs. I love higher education. I held a lot of different positions in undergrad within higher education, one of which was an RA position. Woo woo. Love what I do. I have been working in housing professionally for coming up on 4 years now. Prior to that, as I told you before, I worked with orientations and admissions. What is your favorite quote or saying? I actually have it here in my office, on a gift that I got from my supervisor from my first year as an RA, so I'll read it to you. It says, an artist must be free to choose what he does, certainly, but he must also never be afraid to do what he might choose. And that is from one of my favorite poets, Langston Hughes. I think it's about being daring and having courage, right? So you want your freedom, which I'm a person that will always vouch for freedom for anybody. But you must also have kind of the courage to do whatever it is you're asking for freedom to do, right? You have to be bold and put yourself out there. And so I try to live my life that way. I try to proceed in that way. Hopefully it comes across that way, but that is my favorite quote, and that's what I try to live by. So, what are you most passionate about? There are a couple of things I'm passionate about. Probably my family, definitely for sure. Family and friends. Those are pretty much me in a sense. They know everything about me. They're my biggest sources of support. And so when I think about my passion, that's one thing. But the other thing that I'm passionate about is the work that I do with students. And I'll even couple that with diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Because when I think about all of the students in our communities, the amalgamation of identities within our communities, things that students are bringing in, they kind of go hand in hand. So I love what I do on a daily basis. I love housing. I love being able to be here, do diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Super excited to do some cool things with the Inclusion Assistant Program this year. But those are things that I'm most passionate about, I guess. What book are you reading right now? I am currently in the process of finishing The Ballad of the Songbirds and the Snakes. If you are a Hunger Games fan, then you'll know that to be the most recent book that the author wrote. I actually started that book earlier in the summer. I finished probably 400 pages out of the 500 some odd pages of it within a week. But then it got to a part in the book where it was kind of boring, so it's taken me a while to really want to finish that last part. Don't judge me. I'm also reading a book that I currently have here on my desk that is a little bit more on the collegiate side. It's called Rethinking College Student Development Theory Using Critical Frameworks. I know a couple of the authors from grad school, and so I was really excited to dive into this book and start reading it. I am nowhere near finished with it, but I'm definitely intrigued by the things that I've been reading in it so far. So, has anyone or anything had a profound positive effect on you that you didn't realize until much later? I will always say the answer to that question is my grams. That is my grandmother. Just a lot of things that she did when I was younger in life, sacrifices that she made, things that she did for myself, my siblings, my mom. I never really knew what they were teaching me until later in life when I was old enough to kind of process that. And so I'm so thankful to her for the values she instilled in me, for the things that she did for me when I was growing up. And so that's something that I do consistently think drives much of who I am as a person right now. What brings you peace when you are worried, frustrated, or concerned about something? Um, I guess two. I'll split this one. I'm cheating too. I'll split this one. On the people side of things, conversations with my mom or conversations with my big sister. I am the baby in the family. My big sister is the oldest in the family, and she took on kind of a mother figure at some point in my life. So I'm really, really comfortable talking to her. My mom, it's just always nice to go and process with her. She doesn't know a thing about student affairs or what I do, right? But I love to just connect with her, speak with her, hear with her. It's just comforting to me. Even as someone in my 30s now, I just love to hear my mom's voice. It always makes me happy, makes me comfortable. And then on the other side of that, I would have to say Cold Stone birthday cake ice cream. It is hands down my favorite. Anytime I'm down, if I have a bowl of that, it will lift my spirits. I wish there was one still here in town. There's not, but maybe it'll come back one day. And then last but not least, what achievement makes you most proud? I always tell people that the answer to this question is my high school diploma. A lot of people say, what about your master's? What about your bachelor's? The high school diploma set the stage for me to go on and be able to achieve all of those other things. I come from a place where it's not super common for everybody to finish high school. And so it was a pretty big accomplishment to me. It meant something to me. I was grateful to go on, be able to finish my high school degree with honors, I might add. And that set the stage again for me to go on to get a bachelor's, to get a master's, and be here sitting talking to you all today. So without that, I would not be where I am. So it is definitely, if not my most, one of my most proudest accomplishments that I have. So those are a few quick, get to know me things. Not an exhaustive list, right? So if you ever have any more questions, want to pick my brain, feel free to stop by my office. And hopefully I can learn a little bit about you as well. All right, so let's jump into it. We have a few updates. Using the word few, get it? um, so I'll start with area updates up in the left hand corner there. Looking at our lobbies, if you are walking around, you're noticing that some furniture is missing. There's not things there. You probably figured out by now that that was intentional, right? We are making a lot of changes to our areas due to COVID and things that have happened as a result of that. The reason there's not as much furniture in the lobbies is because we are trying to promote social distancing. We do not want a lot of people hanging out in the lobbies just because we need those areas clear to make sure that we are maintaining social distancing. So we've intentionally moved some furniture out of those lobbies just not to promote that. With our kitchenettes, you will notice that all but the ones on the first floors in your communities will be closed. Again, we're trying to monitor who's going into what spaces. We're trying to keep spaces not as occupied. We want to keep them clean. We want to keep them safe. And so we've limited the amount of spaces that people can go in and out of where they're touching things, using things. So the kitchenettes on the first floors will be open. The stoves will not be open. No appliances will work with the exception of the microwave within that room, and the washers and dryers will still work. We've asked that you limit those rooms to 2 people at a time just to make sure that we are, again, allowing for proper social distancing as people are utilizing those spaces. As we continue to talk about COVID, you will notice there is a lot of signage around the community, whether that be on the floor, whether that be on the walls, whether that be on the doors. And we'll talk about doors and access here in a second. But there is signage all over the place. So there should be no shortage of information for people if they have questions about COVID policies and procedures. It should all be posted there for them. A little bit of a different direction. Our friends in Saks and Harriet got some new carpet and new painting, so feel free to go over, stop over, check that out. It was cool to kind of watch them put that down this summer, and it looks really, really nice, so definitely go and view that. And then the Success Center has some pretty big updates. So you may remember CJ Yerington and Georgina Main, who were our academic advisors in the East Success Center. The university has shifted course, and academic advisors will now be moving out of the residence halls, or rather have already moved out of the residence halls. So CJ and Georgina will no longer be with us here in the residence halls and have moved over to main campus. Also, you might remember Ben Shaw, who was our success coach. The university has also changed that direction as well to where success coaches are now transitioning to becoming academic advisors. So Ben will no longer be here in the hall with us either. There are talks of what to do with those spaces, conversations happening, but we have not settled on anything yet. Our care advocate, Marissa Messenger, will still be occupying that space. We'll still be holding appointments in that space. And that space will still be staffed 40 hours a week. So if you need to go into that Success Center, it will be there. Our academic advising and success coach friends just will not be there with us. So those are a few quick updates about our area in East. I wanted to also recognize some of our area staff that sometimes people might not see as much or might not know as much. We have Steve Anderson and Hank Miller, who are our BMWs for Zone 2. We have our care advocate, Marissa Messenger, who, again, I just mentioned her office is over in the East Success Center. And then we have our custodial staff. In Fabiano, we have Casey Heinlein. In Emmons, we have Chris Wernick. In Herrick, we have Warren Weaver. In Saks, we have Angie Kolasku. In Walt, we have Mary Cueva. And in Trelawney, we have Tina Yunker. So if you see them around, say hi to them. They do an amazing job at keeping our building together, keeping it safe, keeping it clean, keeping it repaired, keeping our students advised. So make sure you are speaking to them, saying hi to them, making them feel like they're a part of the community too, because they are very important parts of our community. With our access updates, a few things have changed. So we have SHC, which will now lock down from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So the hours that students will be able to access that door without using their cards will be from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. After that, the alarms will be on the doors and they will have to go through the main SHC door and tap in that way. Same with few, but the hours differ a little bit. They will be from 10 p.m. till 10 a.m. So same thing. After 10 p.m., those doors will be locked and folks will have to tap in. Any side doors, they will be completely locked, so no one will be able to get into those. With the Chilani elevator door, we changed the hours a little bit to make up for our athletes that might have to use those doors. And so that time will be 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Again, indoors, side doors, all of those will be locked 24/7. Alarms will be on. So if folks are going in and out of those, the alarm will go off. Doors should not be propped. Folks should not be coming into those doors. If they do, we will know because the alarm will go off. But if you see it and it's something that we don't catch, that is an advocate report. And then that will be handled appropriately via your RHD and up the chain, so on and so forth. These new times go into effect on August 13th, 2020 at 7 a.m. So when our students arrive, all of this will already be in effect. We just wanted to make sure that you all as staff knew as you're getting ready to prepare for opening. For our desk updates, SHC will remain open 24/7, so it is the one desk in the community that will be open. Few will now be open from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. So Few will not be a 24-hour desk. It will only be open from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. Obviously, with COVID, a lot of changes, a lot of shifts. Budgets was one of the reasons that we had to go in that direction and change the hours of the desk. If you're wondering kind of why that change was made. So it will now be 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. These hours will start on August 17th, which is the first day of classes, at 7 a.m. So that is when we will kick into our fall desk hours, which I have listed here under the updates. With classroom reservations, things have shifted this year with classroom reservations from what they used to be in East. There will be, obviously, because of COVID, 10 people or fewer in classrooms in terms of groups that are able to reserve the spaces. Reservations must come from within our community, and I'll couple that with the next one of no outside groups being allowed to reserve. I will repeat that one. No outside groups will be allowed to reserve any of our rooms this year. So if someone is reserving a room, it has to be someone that lives here in the East community. If spaces are used, proper social distancing must be adhered to. Oops, sorry, changed my slide by accident there. If spaces are used, proper social distancing must be adhered to. So if folks are going to use spaces, they have to be following the rules. Any signage that's posted, making sure that folks are at least trying to keep 6 feet in between them. And then also just making sure to clean up behind. If you are using a space, wiping things down, wiping behind yourself as you're going, making sure the room is wiped down before you leave, just to make sure the space is clean and ready for anyone else that might use it after you. All reservations will still go through my office. If I'm not here, you can speak to my office assistant out at the front desk and they will get them taken care of. Social programming. This one is a tough one this year. I really like this sign that I saw online, and so I went ahead and stuck it in my PowerPoint. But it says it's all about community, even if it's virtual. I really, really like that because that is the point. We don't stop our show just because we can't go in person, right? And with that being said, I wanted to point out the first line that I have here. So in-person gatherings, provided that they are limited to 10 people, technically can still happen. So I will say that. But the issue with that when it comes to social programming is that if in-person programs are going to happen, you really can't control how many people are going to come. So I personally would prefer that you hold them virtually. I'm not going to bar you to that, right? If you check with your hall director, they think it's okay. You come up with some kind of plan to where only 10 people are in that space at a time. I'm not going to tell you no, but I'm going to lean towards all programming should probably should be virtual just to make sure that we're adhering as best we can to COVID-related policies. If, and I put that in bold again, in person, just make sure we're adhering to social distancing guidelines, cleaning spaces during and after use, Um, Alternatives to that, ask your residents what they want to see. I've done a couple of presentations during training, and I've been kind of amazed with some of the things that folks have come up with in terms of getting information from their residents for what they want to see at programs. I've heard everything from videos to QR codes to surveys to having video chats to kind of just ask directly, whatever the case may be. Just remember that assessment is effective, and the people that are going to be experiencing these programs are the people who can tell you best what they want, might even help you with some creative ideas. So I definitely recommend checking in with them, reaching out to them beforehand to see what types of things they want to see. Avoid open foods or buffet style items. If food is allowed, grab and go. Things change. Right now, I'm going to say that food probably should not be at programs, especially if it is open food, buffet style items. We don't want that. We don't want anything where people's hands are going over food or we have to scoop and dip out. If you can come up with a well formulated grab and go plan, I can discuss it with your RHD and we can see where we can go from there. But for now, I'm leaving it as an if because I don't really know where we're going to go with that. But I'm leaning towards no just to be safe and on the side of making sure we're adhering to COVID policies. If you are doing a program, I would just say make signages to back you up. If you are doing it in person, right, again, I think you should lean towards virtual. But if you do choose to do something in person, just make sure there's clear signage telling people what they need to do, how to make sure that they're best adhering to social distancing policies. We have signs up all over the place, but even as some, in addition to that, if you're going to do a program, the CDC website has a lot of signs that you can reference as well. If in person, and this is in general, not even just at social programming, monitor for any symptoms or illnesses, anything you think might be present, and make sure that you get that information to your RHD. And then ask questions. As you think about being creative, which honestly, in a time of COVID, being creative is the best way to go. I mean, it's what we got, it's what we're going to have to do. Um, Ask questions, ask your RHD, ask me, ask your peers, ask colleagues, whoever you need to connect with. There's a lot of things out there that you can do. There's a lot of ways to be creative and get residents what they need. Remembering, like the sign says, is all about community. We want to make sure the residents feel that they do belong here, that it is that they are a part of our community, and a very big part of that is the social programming aspect. And that being said, I'm a big believer in providing tips, tricks, things that can help you. So if you pause this link, or if you're able to copy it from the PowerPoint, I don't know if you can do that or not from the video, but if not, just take a picture of it, write it down. If you go to that website, there are 53 virtual programming ideas that were listed there. Some are better than others, right? The whole list probably won't be super useful to you, but it's definitely some ideas you can try out as a Parapro member if you're looking for some ideas of how to do virtual programs. All right, our PRV process. So this will go really quickly. All of your requests must be submitted to your RHD first. So when you bring them to my office, I'm looking for RHD sign off and RHD approval. They will need to sign the sheet saying that they did review them before your submission. You bring the PRV right to the front desk of my office anytime between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. If for some reason I'm not here and you can either take the PRV with you, come back at a later time, or you can leave it with my office assistant. They will always have my schedule. They'll know when I'm going to be back in, when I'm going to leave. If I'm here, I will always try to get your PRV signed within 24 hours and get them back to you. If for some reason I'm absent and I can't, please work with another AD for approval. If you choose to leave your document, make sure you leave some type of callback information, a phone number, an email, something, so that my office assistants can get in contact with you to let you know when your PRV is ready. Very straightforward, very to the point. The biggest thing to remember there again is just to make sure that your RHD has approved everything that you're submitting first. And now just a few expectations. So the first one up there, we wanted to make sure we are in a very interesting time in this country, and I don't necessarily mean that in a great way. A lot of things are happening. People are hurt. People are angry. People are traumatized. There's just a lot going on. That's going to lend itself to a lot of different things happening, one of which could be the presence of the media, right? They want to know people's opinions, they want to know how people are feeling. We wanted to make sure that we emphasize absolutely, if you need to talk to the media, if you need to do those different things, you just cannot do that within your official capacity as a res staff member. And also, anything with media should be going through UCOM anyway. So I would just be wary of what you say, even if it is speaking on your own behalf. But we just can't have you speaking as a member of res staff or speaking on behalf of the department or the university. It has to be as yourself, essentially as a student. Same thing goes with protesting, free speech, and activism. We support you and what you do. We support you in your beliefs, what you choose to go protest and be an activist about. But again, we can't have you do that as a CMU staff member or someone representing the university. It has to be within your own capacity as a person and a student. I keep an open door policy, so one of my expectations is that you use it. I was new here in the spring semester, right before COVID hit. One of the things I enjoyed most was when people would just filter into my office. My door would be wide open. They just come in. It's a nice break from the day. It's nice to see your faces. Again, there's so many of you and only one of me, so it's nice just to get to talk to you all, see how your day is going, figure out how you're doing. So definitely use that policy. I want to get to know you, learn more about you. As I said before, I'm always down for a socially distanced coffee, a lunch, or if you just want to chat, totally can do that. I will couple that with this next bullet point that I have here. So, chain of command, I'm the assistant director for the area, so it's sometimes easy to come to me, but I always want to make note if you're just coming to say hi, you want to get some coffee, something like that, absolutely, I'm totally fine with that. If there is a complaint or something that's bothering you or something that might have happened, I want to make sure that I'm encouraging you and letting you know to follow the chain of command. And that chain of command is to always start with your supervisor. I do not want anyone to circumvent the supervision process. You should always be going through your supervisor first, making sure that if you have any concerns, you're feeding that up through them, and then they will feed it up to me appropriately. That's not to say if something happens, you still can't come to me. I just want to make sure that you always start with your supervisor. If you have anything that's like bothering you or anything like that, because that's what they're there for. They're there to support you as well. With the copy room and printer, I want to just reemphasize that we should not be printing homework in the copy room. That is to be made for, or that is to be used for work purposes. If you need to print something for a bulletin board, resources for a student, or if you're putting something up doing a program. We shouldn't be printing PowerPoints. We should not be printing out essays, different things like that. So I wanted to make sure that I reiterated that. And then this next one is huge. Probably, not even probably, it is the most important one on this list. Make sure you are taking care of yourself. Not even just in a time of COVID, right? All of these things that we talk about in this presentation that have been impacted by COVID were there long before COVID even existed. But now that COVID is on the horizon, you're having to do things differently. You're going to be spending a lot of time on a computer as opposed to actual interactions with people. I want to make sure that self-care is at the forefront. We can't be our best people and be here for our students and do what we need to do unless we are taking care of ourselves. So make sure you're finding ways to do that. If you need resources on that, your hall directors can help you. I can definitely help you. We're all here to help you with that. And then the last piece, have fun. As much as I just got done talking about being creative with social programming, you also have to think about how you're going to be creative with having fun for yourself this year. Again, I think that's a piece of self-care, but I wanted to reemphasize that separately. It's definitely something that you need to do. You do a lot in your role. You deserve it, and you're earning it. So definitely make sure you take the time out to have fun. That brings me to the end of my updates. I posted my contact information for you. There is my office number as well as my email contact information if you need to reach me for any reason. Again, remember, if it's something that you're having an issue with, you should always start with your supervisor first, but I am here. Schedule a coffee, schedule a lunch, whatever you want to do. I'm definitely always down for that. Keep an open door policy. Make sure to stop in and say hi. I hope this presentation was a bit informative for you. But again, if there's additional questions, things you have that were not answered, feel free to get those questions to me. Thank you all so much. And I wish you a great move in. I wish you a great beginning of the year. And I wish you a great rest of the semester. I wish you early luck on your finals because I know you're going to do great. Thanks, everybody.